you taking the time, and it's fun to connect like this. I feel like I'm at jazz camp, kind of like I'm getting to learn from all my favorite
Oh
guitar
man,
players. So thanks.
me too.
Yeah,
I just wish we were actually at a jazz camp in
I know.
Italy where we could go to lunch and have amazing food and wine. No,
Yeah,
never mind.
exactly. I know. We just have to do that in the comfort of our own home individually.
Right.
Steve, it's great to virtually meet you. I haven't gotten to ever meet you or unfortunately see you play in person, but it's great to meet you on here. And thanks for
Likewise.
being here. Yeah, as John hinted, I'd love to ask about your connection to Monk's music, which I'm sure we all have a huge affinity for, and working on the Monk Fake Book, which is awesome. We need it.
Well, I'll try to abbreviate this too because it started in Kansas City with some friends. Steve Millian, great piano player, and Gerald Spates, bass player, that were very into Monk, into his more obscure tunes. And they, we'd listen to records. They would play a lot of that music for me. And, even though I was familiar with the more well-known Monk tunes, I was completely intrigued with all these different wild tunes I was hearing, So then fast forward to moving out to the Bay Area, and Randy Vincent, that great guitar player that teaches at Sonoma State. Randy and I had met, and next thing you know, Randy's introduced me to Bill Douglas, great bass player, and then Robert Kaufman, fantastic drummer that lived out there at the time, has since moved back to Boston. And we started a band specifically just to play only Monk. And it wasn't like we were trying to gig a lot. We played at the old Yoshi's a number of times. But our kind of main purpose was just to get together once a week and play Monk tunes. And Randy and I were transcribing all the ones that we didn't have. We didn't use fake book charts because most of those were just horrible. So even if we had a chart, we fixed stuff, and then we just transcribed the ones that there were no charts to. So that group, I think, was probably the most powerful and significant in my Monk education, really.
Wow.
And then I moved, fast forward moving to New York. I joined Motion's band. Paul loved to play Monk. And there was a winter of '98 where I kind of tweaked all the Monk charts and kind of went through them and fixed stuff. And we did a record where we recorded half Monk tunes, half Bud Powell tunes. That's the first Paul Motion record I'm on.
Okay.
And then this friend of mine saw it, because I wrote everything out I have kind of nice manuscript. At least people tell me so. But I know that they're just trying to make me feel good. But anyway, this one friend said, "Hey, you should talk to Don Sickler." And I said, well, because I knew Don was connected with publishing and the family, the Monk family. I said, I'm not really trying to do a book. I'm just tired of seeing bad charts. And, I just kind of gave some charts out to some friends that he said, well, you should talk to him anyway. So I let a few months go by and called him up and said, this friend of mine said, and Don asked me a few questions. Said, well, why don't you come over and show me your charts? So I wrote everything out kind of like lead sheet style, chord symbols with just melody and any other, if a voicing was such that I felt like it was truly part of the composition, I would put it in there.
Yeah.
I didn't get all monkophile and put stuff in there that was just only maybe something that he comped, but he didn't do as part of the regular composition. And so Don, at that point, he said, man, I like the way you put this together because you have all the information, but it's not overloaded and it's also not diluted. So he said Hal Leonard had asked him to do a book of all of Monk's tunes, but he never wanted to work on it by himself. So it was just kind of like timing, It was one of those things. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
Wow. It's so cool. I mean, I just love to chat for a sec about like unpacking Monk tunes. I'm interested in your opinion, approaching it as a guitar player, because, we can try to do chord melodies, or try to just do the melody justice, or comping. It's just a lot to. I mean, it's a heavy toll to like try to. Those are basically all the roles that Monk could play on piano, and doing that on guitar. I want to check out this album. I was looking to. I couldn't find any recordings of you playing Monk, and I was like, oh, there must be. But now that you mentioned the one with Paul Motion, I'm definitely going to look at that because, yeah, I think Monk is wonderful.
As far as the playing Monk on guitar, I mean, it's been a years long process, and never ending.
Yeah.
But if students ask me that question, I'll just say, don't try to play everything, because you're not a piano. And then if you did, even if you could, it's probably not going to sound that comfortable, and you're going to maybe put an awkwardness in there that, whereas if you took the main information, because you want the sound and the feeling of it, that's to me more important than having all of the notes, And so certain intervals, like in light blue, that da da, it's like major seconds, right? Well, you need that, So you have to kind of make some decisions. But strangely, there are a lot of his tunes where you can play a lot of the information, like Crepuscule with Nelly, with just the exception of some register-oriented bass notes, that you have to kind of transpose up an octave. It's amazing how much of that you can play.
Right.
And it sounds great, and you really can get to it. The other thing I also tell them is say, don't try to play don't try to do monk stuff, like dee 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 dee, because then I said because it'll just sound cute and stupid, and Monk never was either of those.
Or like descending whole tone.
Legato. But the thing is that he played the way he played because that's the way he heard it. He wasn't trying to be funny or anything like that. And that's the thing is, you're going to really do his music service if you approach it the way you play, and just be yourself.
Mm-hmm. This is also a good segue. I wanted just to share a quick little story of one of the times I saw you play at a small spot in Brooklyn at Halyards with Diego Voglino's trio. You did something that was really fascinating. I thought you counted off a tune. It was a trio, bass and drums, and you counted off. It was the last tune of the set. You counted off a burning tempo, like like that's
how unusual for me.
About as fast, and I could tell. I'm looking at Diego and the guys, and they're kind of like, okay, here we're about to do this, and it was like a rhythm changes or something, and you proceeded to solo in the most beautiful melodic way. Like you weren't playing fast, you weren't playing eighth notes, you were just sort of soaring over the top of these guys burning. And I just loved that approach, because I think oftentimes people get into this notion where they gotta play as much as they can over the band or whatever. And from hearing you talk about just really playing your own way and using space and breathing, I thought that was just a wonderful little example that stuck with me.
I think that was probably rhythm. I think it was probably rhythming.
I was going to say it was rhythming, but I wasn't sure.
I do a version of that with Ben, like when I play trio with Ben Allison sometimes, where we do kind of like it's really fast, but we also kind of start. We just do it by feel. We just go like ba 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 do da do ba ga ba ga, drums. It's just this whole thing where we're kind of just barely hanging together, but it works somehow. But I mean, I will do that every once in a while. I never felt like I was good at playing way up tempo, maybe for the reason you just mentioned, is because that obligatory feeling of having to burn,
Right.
But sometimes I'll just do it without thinking. I'll just go, before I can think about it and psych myself out, I'll just counter it. I'll just go, And then it's like I'm in it, and it's like, oh, okay, we're just like on the airwaves now,
Yeah.
Another Jim Hall reference, The Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was such a great
and
recording.
he always said I knew I couldn't play fast, so I had to find another way to express what I needed to do. And it's like, yeah, there's more than one way fast doesn't mean everybody has to play fast.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And same with slow.
Exactly. And you have such range in your playing and your improvising. You can go so many different places, and I wanted to highlight another little moment from your new album here as we're kind of wrapping up here. It's a really beautiful track. It's called Fern's Guitar, and you're playing steel string, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a beautiful sound.
Martin.
Before we hear the track, are you playing with just fingers on that, or do you have any kind of pick going with that, or hybrid?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll play like pick with these fingers.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah,
I kind of get into that as well.
So I'm doing that some, but then a lot of pick if I'm playing single line.
Well, this whole album is just beautiful. This track is full of space and melody and just beautiful interaction with you guys. So let's play this one for our listeners here, but before we wrap it on up. This is Fern's Guitar, Steve Cardenas' new album, Blue Has a Range. Yeah, beautiful.
Oh,
really,
thanks,
really
man.
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I had us all improvised together. I mean, I was kind of leading the way, but I wanted it to be a collective improvisation.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. This album, again, is called Blue Has a Range. Relatively new, out just in the last month or so. You've released this on Sunnyside. I've picked up my copy on Bandcamp. If anybody who's listening is interested, go support Steve and Sunnyside Records. Buy this album on Bandcamp, preferably. And it's just a great album. This one will be on repeat for me for a while. So,
oh man,
so thanks
you so much. I want to hear you guys play.
Well, yeah, it's
yeah. I heard you, Perry. I remember hearing you at a Rob Garcia party like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
You sounded so great, man. I didn't want to sit in. I was like, okay, this guy's got it.
Yeah, right. Well, these have been challenging times for everybody. We're hoping that down the road in a brighter future, we'll all be able to get out and hear each other perform. And in the meantime, this podcast has been something that we've been trying to do to, as far as a New West Guitar Group, for us to keep connecting and creating it, but also to maybe establish a bit of a community and reach out to different guitar players and just try and check in with everybody and say hello and tell people how much we appreciate what they do, because it's kind of an important time to do that right now, I think.
Well, man, thank you for including me. I'm honored, and it was really fun.
Oh,
really pleasure to chat. I wish could go on and on.
I know.
We could talk.
Steve, I'll shed on my 335 today for you.
Yeah, there you go.
And me too. I can do that.
Yeah, man.
Take care, my friend.
Take care, Steve. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.